Today we're going to be talking about solving two-step and multi-step equations. And one of the things that you need to remember about solving equations when you have more than one step involved, and I'm going to write this down, I want you to put this down on your papers, is do any addition or subtraction first. Okay, that's very important. All right, so if we look at this equation here, we have negative 4 plus 7x equals 3. We want to get x alone. So what we're going to do is look and see what's happening here. The 7 is multiplying the x. So we know the way we'd get rid of that 7 is to divide, which we don't want to do. We want to do addition or subtraction first. Here we have a negative 4 that's on the same side as the x. The way we'd get that to cancel out is we would add 4 to each side. So there's addition. So let's go ahead and do that. We add 4 to each side. So these cancel. And we have 7x equals 3 plus 4 is 7. We want to get x by itself now, and remember 7's multiplying the x, so we're going to do the opposite of multiplying by 7, which is dividing each side by 7. The 7's cancel. We have x equals 7 divided by 7, which is 1. We do need to put a number on that side. We just can't cancel that out. It's only going to be canceling on the same side as your variable. Now if we go to check this, put your, or substitute, I should say, substitute your value for x in place of your variable. So let's say we have negative 4 plus 7x equals 3. So if we plug in the variable, we have negative 4 plus 7 times 1 equals 3. This keeps, my pen keeps acting up here. So we want to know if that works. We can put a little question mark. 7 times 1 is 7. So we have negative 4 plus 7. And does that equal 3? Yes, indeed it does. So that does check. Let's look at this next one here. We have 1.5 equals 1.2y minus 5.7. We're not going to check all of these, but you've seen how it's done. So we're just going to solve this one. We want to get y alone. Do we see any addition and subtraction that would need to be done on the same side as the y? And yes. Instead of we have this minus 5.7. So the way we would get that to cancel is we'd add 5.7 to each side. The 5.7s will cancel out. We have 1.2y is what we're left with, equals 1.5. Now we want to get y alone. Now the y is being multiplied by 1.2. So we're going to do the opposite of multiplying by 1.2, which means we're going to divide by 1.2. So let's do that out. So if we have 1.5 divided by 1.2, we end up with 1.25 on this side. On the right-hand side, the 1.2's cancel, and that is equal to y. So y is equal to 1.25. Let's continue with the next problem. We have n over 7 plus 2 equals 2. We'll draw our line down through. We need to get n alone. N is being divided by 7, and we also have 2 that's being added to it. So again, do our addition and subtraction first. So we're going to start by subtracting 2 from each side. So when we do that, on the left-hand side, the 2's cancel. and we're just left with n over 7. Remember, we need a number on the right-hand side. We can't just cancel those out when a variable isn't present on that same side. So 2 minus 2 gives us 0. We want to get n alone, and n is being divided by 7. So we're going to do the opposite and multiply each side by 7. The 7's will cancel, and we have n equals 0 times 7, which, oh, and look at what I almost did. I almost wrote down the wrong answer. You were probably, some of you might have been thinking along the same lines I was. 7 times 0, it gives us 0. I just saw that 7 and really wanted to write it down. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the next problem. We have 18 equals 4a plus 10. Take care of any addition and subtraction first, so let's start by subtracting 10 from each side. The 10's on the right cancel, and we're just left with 4a, and 18 minus 10 gives us 8. We need to get a alone, so we divide each side by 4, because the 4 is multiplying the a, and dividing is the opposite. The 4's on the right cancel, so we have a equals 8 divided by 4, which is 2. Next, we have 5t minus 2 equals negative 32. Take care of addition and subtraction first. So instead of subtracting 2, we'll add 2 to each side. The 2's will cancel, and we have 5t equals negative 32 plus 2 is negative 30. We want to get t by itself. So instead of multiplying by 5, we divide each side by 5. The 5's will cancel, and I have t equals negative 6. Let's go on to the next page. We have 2x over 5 equals negative 1/2. We can rewrite that if we want as 2/5 x minus 1/2 equals 5. And that will make it a little easier for us. We want to get x alone, so we'll start by adding a half to each side. So the 1/2's cancel. And we have 2/5 x equals 5 plus 1/2 is 5.5. Now, if we're going to do some arithmetic with 5.5, so I would recommend changing that to an improper fraction. And if you recall how we do that, is we say 2 times 5, we multiply the denominator by the whole number in front, and then we add the numerator. So 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So basically what we have is 2/5 x equals 11/2. And I'm going to continue this problem up on the right-hand side of the page. So now, let's go ahead and get rid of the 2/5 that's in front of the x. Remember, when you have a fraction multiplying a variable, and you want to get rid of it, multiply by the reciprocal on each side. That's the same as dividing by the fraction. So now, 5's and the 2's cancel, and we just have x equals, and we can multiply right across. 11 times 5 is 55, and 2 times 2 is 4. And so we have 55/4 for our answer. Let's move on to the next problem. Jan joined the dining club at the local cafe for a fee of $29.95. Being a member entitles her to save $2.50 every time she buys lunch. So far, Jan calculates that she has saved a total of $12.55 by joining the club. Write and solve an equation to find how many times Jan has eaten lunch at the cafe. So, what we're going to do is let's set a variable to stand for the number of lunches that Jan has had. Let's say L is your number of lunches that Jan has had. Okay. And we know she saves $2.50 for each of those lunches. So we could write that as $2.50 times L. You can put a dollar sign there if you wish. It's a good idea. Okay. So that's how much she saved. But remember, she had to pay $29.95 to join. So in order to figure out how much she saved, we have to take $2.50 times the number of lunches. That tells you how much money she's getting back. But subtract that $29.95 because she had to pay that up front. And it tells us that so far what she's saved is a total of $12.55. So that's what this expression should equal, is $12.55. So now we want to get L by itself. We're going to solve this equation, draw a line down through. So we're going to add $29.95 to each side. So they cancel. So we end up with $2.50 times L equals, well, $12.55 plus $29.95 gives you $42.50. So let's get L by itself. The way we do that is to divide each side by $2.50. So the 250s cancel, and we're left with L equals $42.50 divided by $2.50 is 17. So Jan has had 17 lunches at the cafe if she has saved a total of $12.55 by joining the club. Thank you very much for joining me today.